Listen, I really want to go to prom with you.
All right, but first I have to see how smart you are. I have an AP European history test coming up, and if I'm going to pass it, I have to make sure whoever I'm dating is at least as smart as I am.
So what do I have to do?
Just answer some questions. First, what were the main causes for poverty during urban life?
That's easy. There was little medical knowledge and the cities were so overcrowded that diseases spread quickly between people.
That's correct. Doesn't it just sound terrible?
Wasn't there some guy who helped improve these conditions?
Yes, and your second question is to tell me his name.
I can't remember. Is it Thomas Jefferson?
No, his name was Edwin Chadwick. He was one of Great Britain's most famous health commissioners. He was a supporter of utilitarianism. Your third question is to tell me what utilitarianism means.
Isn't that the idea that says policies should do what's best for the greatest number?
That's right. Edwin saw all the problems in cities and began to publish reports on how diseases spread because people live in unsanitary conditions. His works led Great Britain to pass its first public health law, and then later on other countries followed in their footsteps.
That's great. So now will you go to prom with me?
Only after we both pass our test.
No, 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 no.
This has got to be it. These black, rod-like creatures, they're causing chicken cholera.
Let me see.
They show up in the blood of every dead or dying chicken, but not in the blood of others. Dust. It's harmless enough, or so it seems. But each one of these particles carries a germ. Some have no effect on us whatsoever, but others are the cause of our most deadly diseases.
Come now, Monsieur Pasteur. Are we to believe that some tiny invisible creature is strong enough to kill a human being?
Yes.
We are born with disease, Mr. Pasteur. It's inside us. Then suddenly, without reason, it bursts into life.
Spontaneous generation is an old idea, Doctor, and a bad one. We must have the courage to break with old ideas, gentlemen. If I am right, we have found the beginning, the very origin of disease. And if we can find the beginning of disease, then we can find the end of disease.
The rich, the poor, and all those in between.
What are you talking about?
I'm trying to remember some information for my AP European history test.
I took that test last year, so maybe I can help. Tell me what you know so far.
Well, I know that industrialization expanded the lower class and made it very diverse. I heard that there was a large gap between the rich and the poor.
Don't forget that there was an upper middle class that was made up of families who had businesses in banking and industry.
Oh yeah, I almost forgot that information.
What else do you remember?
Well, most money was spent on food. The more servants a middle-class family had, the more money they had. Can you explain the labor aristocracy to me?
Sure. The labor aristocracy was a group of skilled workers who made up 15% of the working class.
What did the people do when they weren't working?
That's easy. They drank and went to music and sport halls.
Thanks for your help. I might actually do good on this test.
Yeah, but not as good as me.
these scavenging jobs. Cigar end collecting, mudlarking, bone picking were the worst. And sure, they were terrible, but they weren't the poorest. Below them were the very worst jobs. Because the really destitute ended up here, in the workhouse. There were workhouses before the Victorian period, but the Victorians took them a stage further. The new Poor Laws of 1834 made them even nastier than they had been. The whole point about the workhouse was that the jobs you did there had to be worse than anything outside. Even so, in the 1850s, there were 200,000 people in workhouses all over the country. For these people, this was about as low as you could go. Once in, it was very difficult to get out. Men were separated from women, the able-bodied from those less fit. And all the jobs were intended to punish you for being poor.
I was reading an article earlier about how families today have changed over time. It's really amazing how different they've become.
Yes, I know. Did you know that centuries ago in Europe women closely watched their daughters until they were properly married? They did this to prevent premarital relationships from forming with men.
Yeah, I read that kinships were very strong. People relied on their family for support during illness, unemployment, death, and even old age. It's kind of like today.
Back then, women were expected to stay home and raise their children and run the household while their husbands were at work. It sort of made them distant from their husbands.
Why didn't they just get a job?
Because most of the jobs were only offered to men and the few that were given to women paid them very low wages. This is why they began to take pride in making life at home better for both themselves and their family. They managed their homes better and some become homemakers. Mothers even began to become better mothers to their children by forming emotional bonds with them.
I guess family life and women have come a long way.
Yeah.
Your Honor, I hope you will go easy on my sentence.
According to this officer's police report, you forgot to say hello to the officer, you didn't make eye contact when he spoke to you, and you kept repeatedly glancing at your watch while he was talking. These are serious offenses, young man.
Is there anything I can do to get out of this?
Well, you look like a good kid, so I will let you go, but only if you listen to me talk about the Second Industrial Revolution.
Sure, man, you go right ahead. I am all ears.
Okay, I've been trying to tell someone this for months. So it was between the 1850s and the year 1913 that world began to see these fast-moving technological innovations and industrial creativity that led to strong economic growth. Do you understand?
No, but go on, G. I'm listening.
Well, this period became known as the Second Industrial Revolution. It had three consequences. The first was that everyday citizens lacked scientific knowledge. The second was that scientific thoughts began to spread across the population. The third is that it led to further discoveries. Do you understand?
Yes. No, G, no. Can I go now?
All right, but next time thank the police officer when he pulls you over and be nice to him.
Yeah. Whatever. I might tell him everything that you just taught me.
Really?
Yes. No, G, no. I don't remember a thing you just said.
Oh, well, that is all right. I'm sure that when you come back in an hour or so I'll just tell you it again.
When Charles Darwin published his book, The Origin of the Species by Means of Natural Selection, way back on the 24th of November, 1859, he knew it would upset some people, that some would find its ideas hard to swallow. The initial seeds of the theory reach back as far as the ancient Greeks, but it was the combined, often subtle influences of many scholars over the years, coupled with a life-changing voyage to the other side of the world, that led a young Charles Darwin to formulate one of the most important scientific theories of our time.
In 1859, Darwin's theory of evolution by natural selection dropped like a bombshell into a world ill-prepared to deal with it.
Darwin was radical. His dynamic view was extraordinary. Nothing had ever been seen like it. Infinitesimal changes all the time, competing. 1 out of 10,000 might win out. Everything was moving all the time. If environment changed, species had to change and adjust. His was a dynamic view, radical.
Darwin's theory upset the notion of a fixed natural order. Political thinkers of every kind were quick to seize upon it, to justify how they wanted society to run.
What, of course, happened was that they cannibalized what they wanted from Darwinism. This always happens with political theories. You take what you want and ignore the rest.
Darwin's struggle for survival became central to a middle-class struggle for power. New money challenging old money, where the fittest would rise to the top, the weak would go to the wall. These were the ideas of middle-class reformers, led by evolutionist Thomas Henry Huxley.
The reformers loved it. It legitimized their political demands for change, bring in the best, make competition the rule, free and open competition. This was free and open competition in nature. Shouldn't we have it in society? But of course the Anglican ruling class disliked it because it upset their privileged position in society. It undermined it.